Department. Right now, there are more than 9,400 confirmed cases in Maryland, with 302 deaths and 40 in just the last day and a half. WJZ has learned a nursing facility in Baltimore County just accepted 4 priests from Philadelphia with the virus, despite not having any cases there at all. WJZ is live in Timonia. Mike Hsu has the interview with a family member of a patient there who now wants some answers. Mike?
Good morning, Lynn. Stella Mera says that the 4 new patients are physically isolated from the rest of the residents, but a relative of an existing resident is asking the question why these 4 were brought here in the first place. 4 Jesuit priests with the coronavirus are now being treated in a dedicated COVID-19 unit at Stella Maris in Timonium. The men came from an infirmary in Philadelphia. Rebecca Cook's 93-year-old mother lives at Stella Maris, and both were shocked to hear the news.
It's unbelievable. It's just, I don't understand why they would do something like that.
Over the weekend, she and others received this letter. It describes the special coronavirus unit and says walls separate the 8 rooms from the rest of the building, and there is a dedicated air filtration system that runs 24 hours a day, along with a team of healthcare workers who only work in that unit. Nonetheless, Cook is very worried about her mom.
We've entrusted them to take care of her and to keep her safe, and this is not keeping her safe.
Cook says so far there hasn't been anyone known to have the virus living or working at Stella Maris, so she wants to know why the priests were brought here. Stella Maris did not respond to our questions, but in that letter to the resident, they state that the decision to accept the priest was not made lightly and is in keeping with our mission to care for the sick and the elderly. I'm Mike Hsu reporting live in Timonium for WJZ.
Thank you, Mike. 6:33 now. As the number of cases continues to climb, leaders across the country and here at home say now is not the time to let up on restrictions and efforts like social distancing. WJZ investigator Mike Helgren takes us to the zip code in Maryland with more cases than any other.
Maryland recorded the deadliest day since the coronavirus pandemic began, with 40 more deaths. They include patients at Pleasant View Nursing Home in Mount Airy, where more than 1 in every 4 residents at the facility has died. No zip code has had more cases than 21215 in Northwest Baltimore, covering Park Heights and Pimlico, where Deborah Yancey is taking precautions even if others are not.
Well, I just saw on Park Heights and Cold Spring that a bunch of people there, nobody had masks on, and they was all there closer than 6 feet.
21215 is the talk. So therefore, you have no choice but to pay attention to it. You have no choice but to say, what can I do better?
Taurus Barksdale is running to represent this area on the city council.
In these senior buildings, they're not receiving adequate supplies. We're seeing a lack of masks and also a lack of gloves, and we're also seeing people not social distancing.
Baltimore has taken steps to further secure playgrounds. Maryland's highest court ordered judges to limit putting juveniles in detention unless it's absolutely necessary. And during a teleconference, the State Board of Education did not make a decision on when schools will open again. The state school superintendent says all systems must provide detailed home instruction plans.
That must include their distance learning platform, the technology they have available, and how they'll accommodate students who don't have access to the device or the internet.
Many Marylanders are trying to keep hope alive as cases keep rising.
We always talk about all of the fear factor that comes into mind, but what about the good things of who have survived?
There are 155 cases here in the 21215 zip code. Reporting from Park Heights, Mike Helgren, WJZ.
6:35 now. If you are going shopping in Anne Arundel County, you'll now need to wear a mask. Starting today, every place, including places with employees that interact with the public, must cover their faces if they work in those places and come in contact with people at any level. This new order also requires retail stores to cut customer capacity inside by half, make one-way aisles where possible, and discontinue all self-service food counters.
In Baltimore, Mayor Jack Young says he's considering new measures to curb the number of coronavirus cases in the city. WJZ is live at City Hall. Amy Kawada explains. Amy?
Good morning, Lynn. Well, as of yesterday, the city has seen a 51% increase in confirmed COVID-19 cases. So on top of trying to improve the city's communication about the spread of coronavirus, the mayor's office is also deciding whether or not to order people to wear masks or face coverings when out in public. The city of Baltimore says it's now analyzing the latest demographic data released by the Maryland Department of Health. The city's health commissioner, Dr. Letitia DeRosa, says this will help determine where the next community-based testing sites should be. They're actively looking on the east and west sides of the city to serve those in need.
Our goal will be to ensure that all residents, especially those without access to a car, can receive testing in their local community.
Baltimore now has 962 confirmed cases of COVID-19. 217 people have been hospitalized and 29 people have died. The health department says it's now working to expand its messaging and dispel harmful rumors.
Unfortunately, there is a persistent rumor that African Americans are immune to coronavirus. This is false, and the data shows that this is a very dangerous belief.
Mayor Young says he's also consulting with different departments and nearby counties to inform his decision of whether or not to require residents and visitors in the city to wear a mask when conducting essential business. A final decision will be made Friday. And there is a 211 hotline available for you to call. So if you believe you are experiencing any mild COVID-19 symptoms, or if you have any questions you would like to get answered, you can call that 211 hotline and a trained expert will be on the other side available to help guide you to your next steps. Live in downtown Baltimore this morning, I'm Amy Kawada for WJZ.
Thank you, Amy. COVID-19 now has killed more than 25,000 people in the United States, and as the death toll continues to climb, so do fears about what the pandemic is doing to the economy. The International Monetary Fund says it expects the coming global recession to be the worst since the Great Depression. At the same time, testing is ramping up, but coronavirus task force member Dr. Anthony Fauci says America still does not have the critical testing infrastructure.
We have to have something in place that is efficient and that we can rely on, and we're not there yet.
Dr. Fauci says there's no way to know when this crisis will end. He says the virus itself will determine that.
For the thousands of people who've tested positive for coronavirus, many are getting better, but they're still fighting lingering effects. That includes this woman in Towson, wondering if she will ever be the same. Today marks 1 month since Kara Ober first noticed symptoms. Back then, there were only 37 confirmed cases here. She says the virus knocked her out for days, and even when she thought she was getting better, she would start to spiral.
There was one day when I felt a little bit better. The thing that's very weird about COVID-19 is that one day you think you're on the mend, and then the next day you're worse.
She does not know where she got it, but she eventually ended up in the hospital, and doctors were blunt. Her lungs looked bad. Ober is now back home, but still dealing with lingering chest issues. WJZ has everything you need to know about the coronavirus pandemic and all in one place. Go to WJZ.com and look under top stories for a list of resources. The most important links and numbers are under quick links. You can find it all at WJZ.com.